It's a brand new season, and we are getting set to kick everything off here on this mighty fine Wednesday afternoon from the Beer League. Welcome to the shores of California and to the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. My name is Little Rebel, alongside Austin Edstrom and guest commentator Chris Hannigan joining us here this afternoon on what is going to be a very phenomenal season opener this afternoon. Austin, we'll of course start with you. It's a brand new car, a brand new roster, new teams were drafted in just last week, and all of this with a lot of drivers still looking to see who will be up front by the end of this one. There's a lot on the line for drivers to contend for.
Yeah, you better start with me. I mean, nobody cares about the league owner or anything like that, right? We need to kick him off to the curb and not even talk to him. But anyway, yeah, back to me. I mean, the GT4s this season are going to be absolutely fantastic. We saw it last week at Fuji in the preseason race. Here at Laguna Seca with qualifying being in the nighttime, maybe even the beginning of the heat race. Going to be a lot of mayhem. Going to be a lot of off-track incidents. Laguna Seca is a very difficult course. I mean, Nolan, you remember us calling the VSCA sports car race. It was their most chaotic race of the season, and I expect something pretty similar here tonight for the Beer League.
And then, of course, for you as well, Chris, you've been a long-time run at this league, of course, one of this league's main founders as well, and you joined us here in the broadcast booth for the entire duration of the season. You have made it clear you're not a big fan of these GT4 machinery, but these are going to be some of the fastest cars that have ever been run in this championship. How might that be shaking up how this series pans out?
Yeah, good evening, Nolan. Good evening, Austin. Yeah, these are the fastest cars that Beer League has ever run, and we've always said this is as fast as we ever want to go because Beer League's it's about having fun, it's about having a good time, relaxing, enjoying a few brewskis, and enjoying a race with your friends. And Laguna Seca, another staple. We've finished at this track first 2 seasons of the league, and we're back again, opening it up for season 8, which is just crazy to believe. And just a small correction, I'm not the league founder, that was Adam Klein, but there's a lot of great admins in this league that run this thing and keep it going. And I don't know how many cars we got tonight, but it is ballooned and blossomed, and I am here for it.
I can tell you right now, it is over 40. That much is definitely confirmed. We'll see how many cars get sent to take to the green flag this afternoon. A few notable names coming into this one that are new to the series. Robert Peterson, a driver that's been making a lot of waves, in particular over in the OMSRL Cup Series in his number 97 entry. You see him right now on screen in that BMW. Running under the Misfits banner. Of course, Misfits, a bunch of drivers that were not drafted into different teams with the results of the draft results last week. Of course, got returning names like Tyler Augustino, Alex Copper, Brooks Clayton Campbell, and more. Jake Kasich is one of the newer names coming into this afternoon. Mike Kostek for JC Motorsports, another newer entry coming in his DeWalt McLaren. It's interesting to see a DeWalt McLaren up on the racetrack, but for now in qualifying, Albert and Copper putting down the first 2 times, 1.2 seconds between the both.
Yeah, and Chris, I got to ask you, with you being the only one of us up in the booth doing one of these 20-minute qualifying sessions with everybody out on the racetrack, what kind of goes through your mind as a driver getting ready for these qualifying sessions, trying to lay down a really quick time with, like I said, being out there with every single person out on the racetrack? As we see Cofford going off into the barrier there, like, are you trying to find a hole, really make sure that you don't come up on anybody in your qualifying lap? At certain tracks, are you trying to really catch a draft? Obviously, probably not tonight, but what's kind of your mindset coming into one of these qualifying sessions in the Beer League?
Every single one of those things you said is completely true. That all those things are running through your mind. Qualifying session, 20 minutes seems like a long time when you're not in the car and you're watching, but in the car, it goes by super fast. You see these guys nose to tail on each other. Anytime you have to do anything abnormal on a hot lap, whether you're lifting off early so you don't run into somebody, you can't touch another car ahead of you because you get a 0x, that invalidates your lap. You can't go off track. So everyone's got different strategies. I mean, mine was always try to get out of the pits as quickly as possible so I could get ahead of the pack, and then pray to God that every time you started a hot lap, you didn't come across somebody slower. And if they did, they would get out of the way. And there's been some rules established since we went back to open qualifying a couple seasons ago. Rules to, if you're not on a hot lap, you should get out of the way. So you'll see some of these guys flashing their headlights when they're coming up on traffic. But if the car ahead of you is on a hot lap as well, they do not have to move. So it is your responsibility as the driver approaching the car to find your own gap. So it's a tightrope, I guess is the best way to say it. It's tough.
Well, I love that we have you up in the booth this season because I can ask you, questions like that. Every racing league is different, whether it's in real life or on iRacing, and I feel like, the Beer League is no exception to that. In fact, it probably exacerbates that rule a little bit, kind of exaggerates it with the fact that these guys are out here drinking and driving on the iRacing surface. But anyway, I like being able to ask a driver these kind of questions because it's coming straight from the horse's mouth, somebody that gets it absolutely 100%. Sometimes I feel like we're just speculating up here, but now that we got you up here, we can kind of just, we kind of have the end all be all. We got one of the admins telling us exactly how it is.
Yeah, well, I'll try my best, but honestly, it's qualifying is probably, at least to me, it was probably some of the most stressful time of the race weekend because you have a finite amount of time to get a lap in, especially on the tracks with the longer lap times at like 2.5 minutes. We had a few of those last season. Laguna Seca, it's kind of a more of a small to medium track, 1.5 lap time. Kind of a double-edged sword. You don't have a whole lot of room to spread out, but you get a lot more laps in within that 20 minutes. So, but it was always stressful because you start a lap, you get 2/3 of the way into it, you're catching somebody, and you're cussing under your breath because you can't finish the lap. And but then you get into the race, an hour long, you get plenty of time to kind of sort things out with the yellow flag. So, a lot of good laps on the board though. How about old Cofford still picking up where he left off last season? Got P1. Agostino is only 3/10 behind him right now, but a couple Mercedes up front, which is the other big thing this season, Austin, to think about is these are all different cars too. This is a multi-car, multi-make model series this year, or this season. And open setups, multiple different cars. Every car's kind of got its own strong place and weak place to work from. So we've got a lot to learn this season about which cars are fast in different areas and which ones are kind of chugging along in the back.
Yeah, of course, with a lot of the cars so far this season, a lot of the brief breakdowns, there are a total of 5. For the McLaren 570S, quick acceleration, but not the fastest top speed. Tires can overheat quite easily, but it is great in wet conditions, so look out for the McLarens to be up near the front during wet weather running. For the Mercedes, it tends to be a good all-rounder, a little bit more nimble than the BMW counterpart, but the Mercedes-AMG GT4 a touch squirrely in the wet because it is one of the few front-engine drive vehicles. Most others are either mid-engine or rear-engine, particularly so the Porsche Cayman. We'll get into that in a moment. For the BMW M4, again, a good all-rounder. It eats up curves. A lot of guys don't like it too much in the wet, though. I can sympathize with that, but that car, it is a pretty high off the ground compared to some of its GT4 counterparts. That car can absolutely attack curbs. If there's ever a racetrack where you want to be attacking curbs, look no further than turn 6 tonight. The BMW will thrive in that corner. That's right where it's at home. The Aston Martin Vantage, best stable in the low-speed turns, but the Cayman does tend to be a little bit more nimble, but harder to drive on the limit. Again, the Aston Martin being good in the wet. The 718 GT4 Cayman GT4 Club Sport for the Porsche, extremely nimble, but it cannot handle curbs at all. So it's very hard to be quick in, and according to Brooks Clayton, some tracks it just flat out sucks. So I think we know that Brooks has put the Porsche furthest down on his Christmas list. But I feel right now, that Porsche, it could be a sleeper car that we really see some drivers able to make the most out of, but you really need to know how to drive it in order to put yourself into top-tier competition. One of those drivers to look out for, Jake Kasich, currently sits net P2 on the qualifying sheets.
Yeah, that was a whole lot of information about every single one of these race cars out on the racetrack, all the different makes, all the different models, and I'm going to tell you right now, it all went in one ear and out the other ear. I'm just going to wait for this race to happen and figure out exactly which car is going to be the best, because I feel like that's the only way we can really tell, right? It's all a bunch of words until we get to see exactly what happens out on the racetrack, which one performs better at a couple of different places. Probably can't take it all, take all the information from Laguna Seca and say, hey, this is going to fit everywhere, but I feel like, after 3-4 weeks of this, I feel like we're gonna have a pretty good idea of what cars probably are the main title contenders. I'd say between the 5 of them, I think there's probably gonna be 2 or 3 that are kind of gonna separate themselves.
Yeah, I think
go ahead.
Sorry, no, we gotta figure this out. 3 in the booth. We'll get it by the end of the season, I'm sure. But the Aston Martin was the one that jumped out to me in testing when they did a testing race a few weeks ago. It seemed like that car would get quicker over the longer runs, where some of the other cars, especially the Porsche, the McLaren, like you mentioned, Nolan, with that car not really getting out of the way too easily there. But yeah, I mean, the Aston Martin just seemed to get almost faster over a run. Maybe it didn't really get faster, didn't really lose the speed the other cars had. So I think, my race pick going in so far is probably going to be the Aston Martin, but all these cars are pretty equal on our short run here. So I can't wait to see how it plays out.
We're on board with Kasich here as he takes us for a lap around the Weathertech Raceway, and he's gonna lose it off the corkscrew, and he won't get a lap in for the last two, so unfortunate news for him. But that was an unfortunate run, but quite a few drivers still struggling, it appears, and that is exactly what that analysis was just talking about, right? That Porsche took too much on the outside curve. I almost guarantee you, you're in a BMW, you probably would have gotten away with that one unscathed, but the Porsche, no sir, hooked him right around. Chris, you were talking about the Aston Martins being one to watch for. Well, Eric Ronenberg just put himself to the number 2 spot for the Acceleracers Aston Martin Vantage. So that is right now when he has been on what is now his 6th straight lap. So again, some of that long run pace here could potentially be coming into play, even in qualifying.
Absolutely. Another thing that happened too is Crawford actually shot himself up almost over a full second over his previous quickest time. I mean, he is 7/10 on top of Ronenberg right now in that Mercedes. So Crawford got something figured out here tonight, and just basically putting a stake in the ground, saying this is going to be my season early. A couple Porsches up there. I'm a big fan of the Porsche. That was the one GT4 that we used to run quite a bit. It has a lot of movement in the suspension. It's a lot of fun to drive. May not be the fastest overall, but if you've got the ability to kind of get it on the right slip angle through the corners, it could be super quick. And that's what a couple newcomers to the league here, Alex Albert, Jason, and Jake Kasich at the same time. They're also both these guys.
My God.
That was a hard hit, wasn't it?
Was that Josh Freed?
I think it may have been, and that rebounded right back out to the circuit, but touching in what you were talking about there, Chris, I mean, the Porsche tends to be a favorite for some drivers, also because it was the first GT4 car that was put into the service, and it used to be the only GT4 car. I remember, though, it was a huge question as to whether or not which car would be better when the BMW was brought in, the BMW or the Porsche. I remember calling a part of a race, an endurance race down at Sebring. It was a 10-hour endurance race there. GT4 is one of the categories, and the Porsche could just drive up to the back of this BMW that was leading the way. But down the Kemmel Straight, the BMW just gapped him with top-end charge. So that BMW does have a better top speed than the Porsche, but in the corners, that Porsche will absolutely smoke the BMW any day of the week. So the problem for the Porsches, they have to rely on getting out in front because they got their work cut out for them for the straights, Austin.
Yeah, and that's anytime that you're just unbelievably slow in the straights, I know that you gain it back in the corners, but you just feel hopeless. You feel helpless. You feel like you cannot do anything anytime that you have a long straightaway. Here at Laguna Seca, I don't think you're going to feel it too bad. Maybe down the front straightaway, you're finally going to feel it, but as long as you have decent acceleration everywhere else, probably not going to be a problem. But at a lot of other tracks we go to, especially whenever we get into the broadcaster's pick race in week number 5, I believe, that straight line speed is going to matter. And I don't know. Anytime that you're just that far off in straight line speed, I'm telling you, it is the most frustrating feeling. You're tucked up in the draft. Maybe you even get a good run on the guy in front of you coming out of the last corner or something onto a long straight, and you end up losing ground down the last straightaway at Fiji. That happened to me a couple weeks ago. I was just about hitting my steering wheel. Man, it is the most frustrating feeling.
And of course, all of this is coming in while we are entering the final stages of qualifying here. Just 5 minutes, just over 5 minutes, about 6 minutes actually dead on remain now here in this qualifying session for 20 minutes. So a lot of drivers, they still have yet a lot riding on them as they try to see who's going to come out on top of the provisional poll. So far, absolutely nobody has been able to touch Alex Crawford at the top. He's the only driver to punch his ticket into the 127s period, let alone the mid 127s. Next closest time, Eric Ronenberg at 128.2. That is 0.7 of a second off the mark. As I say that, Scott Fleming pushes a little bit close in his Mercedes and puts himself to second place, but still outside of the 127 bracket.
What a great lap from Fleming there. That was a call and answer to, from Crawford. So they're getting closer. I mean, the track temp looks like it's staying pretty much the same. I thought I started to see a little bit of glimmer of color on the horizon. Maybe that sun's starting to kind of peak up and warm this track up. Well, excuse me, not warm it up, but typically the track will get colder as right when this sunrise happens. And a colder track typically is a faster track, so maybe the track's getting a little more rubber on it, getting a little more grip from the temperatures. Still, Crawford set that lap time a few minutes ago before all this. So he is in a whole nother league at this point right now with that lap time. But yeah, Fleming closer. A couple of surprises though. I mean, last season's champion, Mr. Alexander Hammonds, and the other Mercedes, he is not even cracked the top 10 at this point. He's running on there in P12. Not sure if he just hasn't been able to get a lap in, a clean lap in, or if he's just not, just trying to figure out the GT4s. Of course, we know like Giovanni Romano's not going to set a time, but Tyler Agostino, for example, another fast driver, he's only running P6 right now. So, a few newcomers up there with Albert Kasich, and I see Judge Dredd's made it back in. He's back in P7, so a couple old G's coming back in at the same time.
So, do you think that's mostly a part of the new car, right? We've got a new car for the new season. We're seeing a couple different names up at the front than we normally see. I feel like we typically see that at the start of new seasons. I remember a couple years ago, Daytona in the late model, I think Chris Flams had a second place run or something like that whenever he hadn't been particularly ridiculously fast beforehand. So I know that at the beginning of these seasons, sometimes you notice some new guys up at the front. Do you think that's what we're seeing with the guys like Scott Fleming, Alex Albert, Kasich back in 6?
Oh, absolutely. It could be. I mean, some drivers have their styles they like to drive, and some cars just suit drivers better than others. I remember Josh Freed was another one in the late model that was consistently running up front, and he's running P25 right now, right? So there's so many ups and downs that can happen with cars and the way they react. Some guys like downforce, some guys like mechanical grip, and some guys like Coffer. No matter what you put them in, they're going to go fast. Yeah, this is going to be. I'm really interested to see what the new running order is going to be here, because there's a few folks up there that haven't been up there in a long time, and it's really nice to see the shakeup.
3 minutes remain here in qualifying. You're currently tracking one of the newcomers, Mirko Dimitrievich, working his way around the racetrack in his Biffids 011 Porsche Cayman 718. So he tries to see if he can't put himself up towards the top 30 of the field. He is currently working around the circuit for his 9th attempt here in qualifying. He's not been able to find too much luck so far in that Porsche as he'll cross the line this time by. And it'll be no improvements again. So it looks like he'll be relegated down towards the tail end of this field. Taylor Blanchard starting to make his way up a few more spots as the number 48 car, also making his debut this afternoon, goes to 41st.
40.
Sorry, let me jump in real quick for Taylor, because I know Taylor. Taylor's actually he's a driving instructor for the Porsche Experience up in Atlanta, and he's a great guy. I'm so happy to see him here in the beer league. He actually ran. Yeah, he that's fair. But he ran beer league way back in the beginning. I think season 1, season 2, he was around for a little bit. So he's actually an OG returning in, and I'm so excited to see him here. So sorry, I didn't mean to jump in front of you there.
No, you're good. I was about to make fun of him because he qualified 41st. So I'm glad that you made him sound good.
Well,
instead.
I mean, if anything, we should amplify it now because he is at 41st, and right now the last of the qualified Porsche, but he's an instructor for them.
Yeah, you hear that, everybody in the top 40? You're beating a guy who drives a Porsche in real life.
For a living.
At Road Atlanta. That's how good the top 40 is in here, guys. So think about that. The 48 drives these things in real life, and he's back in 41st. Everybody in front of him's better than him. Come on.
Well, to be fair, what car does he drive? Does he drive a 718, or does he drive a different car?
That's a good point.
Porsches do drive differently from one another.
I think you just give him a few more minutes and give him a few more weeks to get some seat time.
I'm not trying to hate on him too hard.
He'll figure it out.
I'm just poking fun at the guy. But hey, I like seeing some returning faces. Pretty cool. You said it's an original face, right? Season 1, season 2. That's really cool to see him come back here in season 8.
A lot of drivers are beginning to finish up their laps. Only 1 minute is left, so there's no more time for anybody else to put in more laps. As soon as they cross the line, that is it. Game over for qualifying. Right now, the Misfits machine trying to see if he can put himself further up in towards the top 10 running. Crosses the start-finish line this time by for the number 58. Not going to be able to make too much out of that one. He'll remain 10th.
So are we committing to calling him Judge Dredd this year?
I assume it's Alexander Bueller. I'm assuming probably no on that one. And, well, there we go. Qualifying draws to a close. So we are all geared up for the sprint race action here on this beautiful afternoon. Let's take a rundown of what your starting grid is going to look like here as we get set to duke it out for the first of the sprint races here for season number 8. Starting on the pole this afternoon, it'll be Alex Cover for Bootleg Mafia, and it's in fact Bootleg Mafia 1, 2, and 3 with Scott Fleming half a second back at the number 2 spot. Keith Crothers is in 3rd, Eric Ronenberg is 4th, Alex Albert is 5th. Tyler Augustino starts this race in 6th. Kyle Blevins and Jake Kasich on row 4. Row 5, Austin brings up Shane Cameron and Alexander Bueller.
Chris Bright is going to be starting in 11th with Justin Hall on his outside. In 12th, Tyler Carlton in the 13th place spot with Chris Flams in 14th. Austin Tucker lining up in 15th with Alexander Hammonds, last year's champion, in 16th. Ron Wolf in 17th with Michael Derby on the outside in 18th. 19th place is going to be Brooks Clayton with Steve McClendon rounding out the top 20.
21st be Corey Barrett, 22nd Matthew Dupuis, and Jason Lee 23rd, Darren Bide 24th, Brian LeBlanc 25th, Robert Peterson 26th, Josh Freed 27th, Jordan Babcock 28th, Ben Williams 29th, Sean Bradley P30.
Moving on down through this field, it'll be 31st place for Ryan Verhulst for the pit crew. Ethan Cotton for Flying Donut will be in 32nd. Greg Beckman 33rd with Evan Campbell 34th. Ryan Murphy is 35th with the back for Stupin in 36th. Alex Harris and Mirko Dmitrievich, Johnny Lane, and Mike Kostek bring up the top 40.
41st is Taylor Blanchard with Steve Turnbull in 42nd, Blake Gambrill in 43rd, Barrett Morton in 44th with Tyler Vietnan lining up in 45th, Adam Klein in 46th, Giovanni Romano in the 47th place spot with Stefan Purcell in 48th, Vincent Kolinsky in 49th, Justin Wilson in 50th with Adam Mailhot in 51st, Jonathan Lefebvre in 52nd, and Jacob Noyes rounds out your 53-car field.
Oh boy, we got the whole field then ready to do battle here this afternoon as the pack and get itself sorted here for racing action this afternoon. You can see the sun starting to rise. The field is sized up and ready to go. Adam Klein for 40-ounce Ford's not going to be able to make anything out of his race here this afternoon. He is going to be starting his sprint race from pit road. But as always, we're happy that you're joining us here on a Wednesday night. The iRacing safety car pulls down into pit road. It is a Mercedes 1-2 and a Bootleg Mafia 1-2-3. The field works itself out of the final hairpin. Back to the front straightaway. A new season of the Beer League is underway. They're wrecking already in the hair before they take the green flag. Crawford side by side with Ronenberg as they work their way up and over the hill on a mad scramble. It's a Mercedes party up front with one Aston Martin looking to spoil. 3 wide for the lead. Down to the turn 1, but Crawford pulls clear.
My word, Fleming had a terrible start and then made up for it with a huge dive bomb into turn number 1. Just about got it all back. Had a bit of a nervy moment and then lost 2 more spots back to 4th. So Fleming back to the 4th place spot off the initial start. Not what he wanted to see.
Couple of Alexes up front. Cofford leading Albert right now. You got Keith and Crothers up there in P3. But how about the start from Alexander Bueller? Started P10 up to P4 in just a handful of corners. Really making that Aston, making it work as he tries to run down the Mercedes and the Porsche ahead. As now Crothers gets past Albert up into P2 as we hit up to the corkscrew for the first time.
Firing his way up and through this corkscrew as he tries to make himself up and running. There you see Crawford making an absolute terror at the head of this field, side by side with the number 2 spot into the corkscrew. Albert continuing to hang on as the whole field cycles on through. Does everybody manage to make it through this one clean and green? Austin, you and I were talking about the problems this corner could throw up early on, and it looks like we're going to get through the corkscrew safe and sound with nobody having problems. A few drivers flirted with those outside curves. We saw a few issues in qualifying, but so far so clean, save for the early race melee right off the hitch.
Look, from what I've seen in the corkscrew time and time again, that was mighty impressive from the Beer League guys here on lap 1 of the heat race. I mean, time and time again, I've seen it go completely awry, and I think it will a couple times tonight as it is coming into the final corner here. A couple people scattering out of the last one, a couple people going spinning, a couple more going wide. Oh, they're still wrecking coming out of the final corner. What in the world? Josh Freed is not having a fun time.
And this is what happened on just the first lap of this race. It all went awry as the field was looking to stack it up down and towards the hairpin, and one drive got run over, and it was on from there.
Oh, my. Weird bumper cars coming down into the corner as everybody's just trying to get it woed up, not getting involved. It's just weird how that accident seemed to last from the beginning to the end of the corner.
I mean, honestly, aside from everybody checking up in the hairpin, it was a relatively clean first lap for new series, new season, new cars. They held that together really well, and I'm really impressed by it. So now we'll see. Again, these cars are a little bit different than what we've seen in beer leagues before, though. Tires are a big deal on these cars. You're still probably not. Oh no, one of the misfits goes off. That's going to be.
Staring by.
It's staring by. I had to scroll down. There's so many drivers on the ticker here. But yeah, so he goes into turn 5, I think, coming up the hill.
Yeah.
A little hot maybe, get a downshift. Yeah, just kind of get a lazy spin. But you're going to see tires become a deal. I mean, these tires can't overheat. They can lose grip. And this thing becomes a handful really fast, really quick.
Side by side between one of the McLarens and a Mercedes as they work their way off of the final corner, back down the front straightaway. Chris Bright hanging on. Hammond still waiting in the wings. Ron Wolf sitting just behind as well as he tries to get himself sorted up at the head of this field. Will we see Ron Wolf go for the move? And he's not going to opt for it. Oh, he thought about it, though. So the 119 was close to going for a lunge. At the end of the day, though, he'll tuck that one back in line. Battlestar remains for second. Crawford already out by 3.5 seconds as we work lap number 3.
I'm sorry. Sorry, a paint scheme has just completely caught me off. Anyway. I'm so childish. Anyway, we're still racing out on the racetrack, obviously, coming down towards the corkscrew through the King. Albert there in second, getting ran down by Keaton Crothers. I love Keaton, apparently. Scott Fleming right behind. Like I said, he started in second, fell back to fifth, got himself back up to fourth, and he's looking pretty feisty, proving that qualifying pace wasn't a fluke, but definitely didn't have the race start that Fleming would have wanted after having such a great qualifying effort.
I'm still laughing at Austin. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. It just catches something in the beer league catches me out like that every week, man.
Oh, look out!
No, there he goes. Who's that? Is that Albert?
That's Albert going
Albert's
around
spinning.
the 337 down. Lost that one out of the penultimate corner. One of the BMWs screaming off in the background as well. Meanwhile, Ethan Condi taking a little off-road excursion of his own. So knock one car from the Bootleg Mafia crew out of this top running, and now it's Crothers, Fleming, Bueller, Augustino, all packed up in line with a few others. Crawford now up by 5 seconds at the head of the field.
Yeah, we saw Crawford. I mean, again, in the heat race, the testing race that was done a couple weeks ago. It was the only GT race I did with these guys so far. I mean, Alex was on his own planet. The guy thrives in these cars. It seems like a natural fit for him. He is checking out. I mean, he's 10 minutes into a race, 5 seconds down the road. A couple things I want to call out real quick if I can is we had a few guys. I mean, like I said, Bueller's up 6 positions as McLaren just gets clobbered there. It's Babcock. What happened there? You go into turn 1. Oh, this is something different. This is
Darren By wrecked at the same time.
A little hot. That's the second time we've seen that BMW come in there and do a little lazy spin going through the corner. So I don't know if it's a setup condition he's got going on or something with the BMW specifically, but see, this is Babs. See, he's going into turn 1. You get a little help here, or there's another little lazy spin. So maybe this is something we got to keep an eye on. It's still figuring out what these cars are about, what they're capable of, and where they're weak. And we've seen more lazy spins than anything else. So, and there's the car inside. Another one.
This was sixth place runner Kasich going off.
Another Porsche on exit. Every time we've seen the Porsches go off, it's been on exit of a corner when they're on power. They get a wheel off in the grass or on the curb. It upsets the balance of the car and loops it quite aggressively.
It's good advice. I will never be picking up the Porsche. Off of that, I would be a little nervy. And the O2's off on the...
there's a few off the road.
A couple of them. What in the world is going on? Ryan Murphy, Johnny Lane. Ben Williams is the guy we're looking at right here, the 187. I mean, every time that I check my little ticker for people going off track or crashing, my word! What in the world is going on out here?
Did he hit Dimitri there, right?
Dimitrievich was one of the ones that was off the track. This is something completely separate. This is Alex Harrison having a problem into the final corner.
Oof. Yeah, he got on the grass there a little bit.
What the heck happened to Dimitrievich here?
He got a Porsche on exit. That's what we're seeing. Porsches get upset on the exit curve. And that's a very aggressive exit curve, by the way. You're hitting it very fast.
Oh, boy.
And he gets a little high five there for good measure.
He gets it twice.
And
Oh my word, man. That was not a good rejoin at all.
It wasn't really good avoidance from whoever hit him, too, to be fair. But,
that's a good point. I'll give you that
Still
one.
wracking.
All right,
Past
boys,
turn
figure it
6.
out. Gotta figure it out. He's flashing the headlights for good measure. Yeah, figure it out.
Carlton and Kasich, 2 more that have gone around. Carlton going to drive that one right back across the racetrack. Vince Kalinsky having a problem up here as well. What is going on at Laguna Seca? All of a sudden, it's all falling apart.
I think the tires are getting warm. We're 13 minutes into the race. This is a pretty heavy tire track. There's a lot of mechanical grip here. These tires are getting warm. You're starting to see the grip fall off. This is what we were talking about.
I don't know if it's the grip fall off. I honestly think it's the racetrack. Nolan, we've been here, right? We've seen this before. This track, it's not necessarily it doesn't necessarily put on the cleanest of racing.
Ooh.
Oh, that's definitely not clean coming down into the King. A little bit of a stack up accordion effect, but I don't know. It just seems like every time that we see a race at Laguna Seca, there's a good bit of mayhem. And I mean, this is no shortage of it.
Another BMW losing it in the middle of the corner, and another Porsche losing it on exit of corner. So there's 2 weaknesses right there we can put in the notebook, keep an eye on, because I'll tell you the cars that look solid, though. That Aston Martin, we've seen it go off the track, over the curbs. We've seen it go, it seems very solid. And the Mercedes, I don't think we've seen a single Mercedes go off on its own yet. So knock on wood that, by the way, Coffer's now 7 seconds down the road. As a McLaren goes off and shows it can go off-road and back around there. So, yeah, this is, these drivers are going to figure out these GT4s. It's going to take a few races to get them under their belts, get comfortable with them. I mean, testing races are one thing, but actual races are completely different. Of course, this is just the sprint race. We haven't even got to the main yet.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. All of this is before we even get to the main event, which is only going to be about 10 minutes away.
Well, and Chris, you were talking about the Mercedes and the Aston Martins. They take up every single position in the top 10. There are 6 Mercedes, 4 Aston Martins in your top 10.
Wow, you're right.
So,
yeah,
I think it's a pretty clear advantage to those two vehicles here tonight so far, as we see the 95 off the racetrack. Brian LeBlanc taking a little bit of an excursion. Oh,
you got a little help there.
I think he kind of cleared himself. He was drifting across.
Yeah.
That McLaren wasn't moving.
You definitely expect them to be at the line, right? You expect them to be using all the racetrack, but if they're not, you definitely can't turn across as if they're not there.
Yeah, they're squeezing each other a little bit there. Another BMW goes around in the middle of the corner. So yeah, that we've seen a few different things, and I had a thought, Austin, that I was going to piggyback on something you said. You know what? I got distracted by a spinning BMW.
Mercedes and Aston Martins take up the entire top 10.
Yeah, that's what. So this track is the characteristics of Laguna Seca. Obviously, it's kind of a mid to slow speed corners, a couple high speed corners. But the thing about Laguna Seca is it is very smooth. It's a very smooth track. You go to a place like Road Atlanta or the Nordschleife or any of these other tracks with big elevators.
Whoa!
That is not.
Okay, wow. The future shot machine of Giovanni Romano.
That was not the smooth part of the track.
5 into the barriers.
So just to finish the point, if we go to a bumpy track like Road Atlanta or something, maybe some of the other cars will excel. So maybe it's characteristic of the track. We'll see. A lot to discover here, season 8. And Gio's just going to take the old layout. Yep, there he goes.
Dude, it was just the cut, man. I expected out of the beer league, but the cut in the middle of the race, it literally put me on the floor. Oh.
Well, Romano is like coffee. That's a light start to the head of this field, so that's about on brand.
So Coffer's got to do it here. You got 3.5 minutes.
Cutaway.
It was. Coffer's got 3.5 minutes to put it in the wall somewhere, so he might do the same thing Gio did. But what is on his car? What is this car? The sun's coming up, and we're seeing the season 8 liveries here. Is that the guy from It?
That's Ronald McDonald from Hell.
It's just a clown.
Okay, fair enough.
Pennywise is nowhere on that vehicle.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, they're called Bootleg Mafia for a reason, so.
No, not the Krispy Kreme machine.
McClendon going off the road, and just up the road. They're side by side as well for 21st.
I love this Porsche right here. It's got the 6 wheels on it. You see, it's got 3 on the side on each side. Throwback to the old Formula 1 6-wheeler.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. It kind of resembled that look, and I was wondering if that was a reference at all to that.
Yeah, I believe that team, they're running some legacy, old school Formula 1 liveries that have been kind of modified a little bit.
Sense.
Yeah.
What's on Lee's car here? It's definitely a Red Bull of some sort. Oh, it's just a Red Bull car. Okay, so he took the boring way out.
What is
and
the horse is definitely
angered
different.
just about every single British fan in existence by running that car.
But it's a
What is
unicorn.
about
It's
the
not a
horse?
bull.
Yeah, I was about to say,
a-
that is definitely a different horse.
It's a red unicorn.
Oh, it is.
Is it a unicorn or is that a horse?
It might just be a horse. That doesn't look like
It's
not a
got
bull,
something
though.
on its head that's got a point to it.
I think there are other ones. They had a McLaren car and they had some other designs as well.
Tucker's the one with the 6-wheel F1
I
car.
love that so much.
Dupuy up the road. He's got, is that an old Williams scheme, I think? Or is that that's the BMW?
BMW, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
There you go. Crawford's still 8.5 seconds down the road. Has not put it in the wall yet.
He will. We're waiting on it. It'll come.
But how will he do it is the question. That's always the funnest part. He
he
usually
did it. It's
there he
happened. I
goes.
don't know how he did it, but he did it.
Very anticlimactically, it looks like, is how he did it.
Yeah,
Turn
I switched to
one.
him
He
and his
tried
front
to
bumper
take-
was gone.
He tried to take the slide into turn 1, and no.
Yeah,
That's smart for Crawford.
Romano's was
That's,
way better.
Yeah. Yeah, no points for you. No style points for you today, Crawford.
No.
Of course,
And that
remember
moves
after
Alexander Hammond's into the pole position, even though he's been
Right.
a little bit slower. He gets pole for the next race if he hangs on to 12.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Remember, the top 12 after this sprint race get inverted for the main. So right now, Hammonds is starting P1, which, he hasn't shown ultimate pace here tonight, but Hammonds is Hammonds. He's been fast ever since he's been in the league. It's a fantastic place for him to start. To be fair, Chris Bright, another fast driver, is going to start right behind him if they hold these positions. There's the McLaren car. We just saw a glimpse of it there, of the old 90s Mika Hakkinen style McLaren F1 car.
That is
Radio
an
Shack
objectively
car.
beautiful car as well.
I love now we're seeing the liveries as the sun's coming up. This is fantastic. I got a French's mustard car. I love it.
It's driven by Ryan Verholz with the pit crew. Now we just need Heinz ketchup somewhere, and then we'll be all good to go.
I'm sure it's out there
mustard
somewhere.
and beer on the same car feels weird.
And we'll get one more. It will not be the checkered flag this time
Oh,
by. So
no.
1 lap to go for Scott Fleming.
He's
He's running a good
1.7
race
seconds.
though, man.
Yep,
I mean,
1.7 seconds
obviously-
ahead. We'll figure
Obviously, he
this.
was
Go ahead,
7
Austin.
seconds. Sorry. Obviously, he was
figure this
7
out.
seconds behind Crawford. But, he was the only guy within 7 seconds of Alex Crawford. If you put it that way, it sounds pretty daggum good for Scott Fleming. And he's going to be the guy to lead it and be the first guy to put points on the board for this season.
Absolutely. I'm looking at the race for P12 right now. You got the race for the pole, which is actually going to be Hammonds versus Albert. Both these guys, fast drivers. Remember, Albert started up front in this race, and I think what was it, P5, I think he started? He's trying to run down Hammonds for that pole position for the actual start of the main. Hammonds, of course, obviously a fast driver, and looks like he's actually starting to pull a little gap on Albert. But, at the start of the lap, that was under a second. Now it's up to 1.3 seconds. So Hammond's starting to pull away and said he's not going to mess around. He gave up that pole position.
And all the while, Scott Fleming going to take this one through the last 3 turns on the racetrack. And that Mercedes AMG looking to be a really strong, solid runner here this afternoon. As Crawford takes himself out of this race, it will be Fleming to come across and take the sprint race win. He'll start 12th for the main event this afternoon, and he'll score the first points of the season. Now the battle is on for spots further down. Bueller second, Crothers third, Blevins fourth. And there comes the battle for 11th, 12th, and 13th. And it'll be Hammonds to start this race from pole.
It feels weird seeing Alexander Hammond starting on pole and thinking that that's almost like an underdog pick for this season, because he just didn't show the pace through that race that makes me, feel like, the old dominator of Alexander Hammond's from previous seasons, right? I don't necessarily think he's going to be the championship threat of the year, but he's starting himself off in the right position in the first race, being able to, start out in the clean air, setting himself up right. If you get that track position right off the beginning, especially with a lot of the fast guys starting way in the back, potentially, if that happens time and time again for you, you could end up pointing your way to a championship.
Yeah, I think he's in a pretty good spot. Hammond's obviously a fast driver. He just probably needs to figure the car out. He is running the Misfits this season, so he's committed to not being able to run, more than half the races this season. So he's probably doesn't have a whole lot of time in the car. I think he will do just fine once he figures it out, though, for sure. Look at the pile in turn 1. Love to see it.
It's good old
Car on top of the fence.
One more flies in to join them. That's Josh Freed. There seems to be some disagreements as to where the party is. Someone tried to stack it a bit further down to the corner. We need to get something organized for the main event here. See how many cars are going to shoot into the gap there. That'd be a fun little challenge with this grouping here on the afternoon. But the last drivers for the sprint race coming across the line in just a few moments. Maybe. They're thinking, iRacing's thinking about it for sure. We still have some cars evidently on the racetrack. At least it thinks so. I don't see any personally. But it certainly believes there to be some still out there on the racetrack. But I'll tell you what, it's going to be a solid drive here for everybody here on the afternoon. I am still at a complete loss as to who's still on the racetrack, because it has not declared this race official yet. Is it waiting on Romano? Romano's across the line.
Looks like it's showing Gio. Yeah, looks like it's showing him going into the pits right now. He's milking his TV time.
There we go. Well, we just got the results across this time by. So here we go then, your official sprint race results here this afternoon. And it'll be Scott Fleming taking this race from pole. He'll be starting this race down at 12, but he wins the sprint race this afternoon. Bueller was second, Crothers third, Blevins was fourth, Cameron fifth, Augustino in sixth, Flemion, Clayton, Ronenberg, Hall, Bright, and Hammonds round of the top 12. Hammond starts this race from pole.
Alex Albert lines up in 13th, Michael Derby in 14th, Ron Wolf in 15th, Jason Lee 16th, Ryan Verhulst in 17th with Austin Tucker in 18th, Matthew Dupuis in 19th, and Greg Beckman rounds out your top 20.
It's going to put Sean Bradley down to the 21st spot with Robert Peterson in 22nd, McClendon 23rd, Evan Campbell 24th, Magnus Stuber 25th, Connie 26th, Mike Kostek 27th, Jake Kasich 28th, Blake Gambrill, Bear Morton round out the top 30.
31st is Tyler Vietnan with Mirko Dmitrievich in 32nd, Adam Mailhot in 33rd, Josh Freed 34th, Tyler Carlson 35th, Jordan Babcock 36th, Corey Barrett 37th, Ryan Murphy in 38th, Darren Bailey in 39th, and Steve Turnbull rounds out your top 40.
And
Ben Williams.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I had my mic on the first time. I apologize. Ben Williams, P41, LeBlanc 42nd, Kalinsky 33rd, Purcell 44th, Blanchard 45th, Harrison 46th. Johnny Lane himself, 47th. Alex Cofford, 48th. Romano, 49th. Wilson, Knowles, and Klein round out the field.
So that's it. 52 cars set and ready to rumble for main event action here. Coming on up in just a few moments. Before we get to all of that, Chris Hannigan was able to catch up with Blake Gambrill in the days leading up to this race. We'll throw it down the trackside as he'll be set to chat enough with Blake Gambrill for a little shot of Behind the Mug.
Blake Gambrill is a beer league regular who's been running on track since the early days of Season 2. With 54 race starts to his name, he's ranked 10th in the number of all-time appearances for any driver who's ever run in the beer league. I sat down with Blake to get to know him better and learn what got him started in racing.
Yeah, so I grew up here. I'm still in Charlotte. I grew up just outside actually not 10 minutes away from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Yeah, I mean, I've always been into, video games. I've played, iRacing was probably the thing that made me drop playing League of Legends.
Were you a race fan before video games, or did video games fall after finding racing in real life?
I grew up watching, NASCAR. I'm in Charlotte, so it was like, you had to, right?
Yeah.
But I fell off of it up until finding Drive to Survive and stuff.
So you're one of the OGs in the beer league. You started back in Season 2 in the Miatas. What drew you to the beer league way back in Season 2 when it wasn't quite what it is today?
I was looking, back when I joined, I was looking for something to kind of help keep me, because I knew I would fall out of racing if I didn't find a league. So I was looking for something like that. I was new, so Beer League seemed great, and it was just the kind of cast of characters surrounding it. The biggest thing is it's just a fun group to be around. Sometimes we can be a bit much, like when everybody was 10 drinks deep last week, or it gets to be a lot. But most of the time it's a fun group. Everybody's kind of having fun.
At just 30 years old, Blake's been running the Beer League longer than he's been married. So it leads to one obvious question that we have to know the answer to. How does your wife feel about you racing Beer League on Wednesday nights?
She likes it. She enjoys that. She likes that I like it, and that I've kind of found something to sink back into.
With 6 seasons under his belt, I asked Blake to think back about what his most memorable moment has been so far in his Beer League career.
Yeah, I guess for me, at least personally, the most memorable was Long Beach in the late model. That was really when I realized, I've gotten way faster than I realized after the safety car restart. Like, I was starting in 15th, and I had a legitimate shot at keeping that until I ran out of talent.
Like that, I didn't see a...
No, well...
There's that Blake Gambrill getting spun around. 79, yep. Blake Gambrill.
That was really when I was like, okay, this is like, I'm starting to feel... Because I was thinking about dropping it around then, because I was just struggling every week, and that was a confidence boost.
We are just getting this show on the road for main event action here this afternoon. Let's take a rundown of what that starting grid is going to look like as we'll get set to duke it out for 1 hour of racing action around Weathertech Raceway. Alexander Hammers is on the pole with Chris Bright beside him on the front row. Justin Hall starts third, Eric Ronenberg fourth, Brooks Clayton is fifth, Chris Fonvion is sixth, Tyler Agostino seventh, Shane Cameron eighth, Kyle Blevins, Keaton Crothers round out the top 10.
11th place is going to be Alexander Bueller with Scott Fleming starting in 12th. Alex Albert in 13th. Michael Derby in 14th. Ron Wolf 15th. Jason Lee lining up in the 16th place spot with Ryan Verhulst in 17th. Austin Tucker 18th. Matthew Dupuis in 19th. And Greg Beckman rounds out your top 20.
Sean Bradley, P21. Robert Peterson, P22. McClendon's going to be 23rd. Evan Campbell, 24th. Mac Verstappen, 25th starting tonight. Ethan Conde is going to be 26th. Mike Kostick is going to be 27th. Jake Kasich is going to be 28th. Blake Gambrill, who we just saw in that awesome video, 29th. And Barrett Morton, 30th.
31st place, you have Tyler Vienna with Mirko Dmitrievich in 32nd. Adam Ilhot is 33rd with Josh Reed 34th. Tyler Carlton 35th. Jordan Babcock 36th. Corey Barrett 37th. Ryan Murphy 38th. Darren Bide, Steve Turnbull round out the top 40.
Ben Williams starts in 41st, Brian LeBlanc in 42nd, Vincent Kolinsky in 33rd, Stephen Purcell 44th, Taylor Blanchard rounds out your top 45 with Alex Harrison in 46th, Johnny Lane in 47th, Alex Cofford in 48th, Giovanni Romano 49th, Justin Wilson rounds out the top 50 with Jacob Noyes, Adam Klein, and Jonathan Lefebvre rounding out your 53 car field.
So 53 lining up and getting ready to rumble, just waiting on 3 right now, those being Noyes, Freed, and McClendon. Now just Noyes as the pack otherwise geared up and ready to rumble. Main event points coming up all here. Chris, give us your thoughts. Who's your favorite to win this one?
It's going to be hard not to go with Cofford. He has just been dominating every session I've seen with these GT4s so far, and even though he's starting 48th of a 53 car field, my money's going to be on Cofford tonight, and I think he will pull through. He always finds a way. He's good with strategy. As long as he can keep the front end of that Mercedes clean, it is going to be a great night for Cofford, I'm sure.
Ever a racer that is so consistent and putting in the clutch whenever he needs to for main event action, as a few drivers struggling to get off the hitch here, but for the time being, the field working towards the start-finish line. Jacob Noyes starts his race from pit road. Everybody else stacked up, doubled up. We're ready to rumble. Hammonds takes the early launch. It's go, go, go from California as Hammonds jumps away with the early lead down towards turn number 1.
Hammonds wasted no time. I mean, my word, absolutely gunning it. Coming out of the last corner, not waiting whatsoever. Alexander Hammonds out to a huge lead, already a second before we get out of turn number 1. just kind of side by side, a couple rows back. I mean, not really too hard racing down into turn number 1. Everybody minding their P's and Q's. Nothing crazy. No 3 wide. Just, you know, leaving plenty of space. Nothing too crazy so far.
Yeah, so far, oh, big wiggle there from Justin Hall in that McLaren coming out of turn number 4. He got on the outside. I think got a wheel in the dirt. He's going to lose a position there to Chris Bright. He's going to jump out, lose 2 positions as Brooks Clayton comes through in the Mercedes. So 2 spots down for Justin Hall after an incident at turn 4.
And still able to everybody keep it in line. Clayton off the road as the Hawk number 9 fires it off the racetrack, trying to get it back on the striking the barrier. He's going to get that thing done. So put him up into the next spot, and now a few more cars come together, and that's one of the Aston Martins of Alexander Bueller going off the road.
Oh yeah, Bueller got kind of nudged from behind, a little bit of a chain reaction coming down into the corkscrew. Oh, Hall got sideways. I'm watching the race leader, or sorry, our third place runner, Justin Hall, way off in the dirt right now, losing tons of positions. Oh, another spinner going off. I mean, it's all kicking off. The first half of the lap was pretty nice. The back half of the lap, it's gotten a little messy from the King Kong back.
Oh boy, there's a lot going on in the tail end here. And we got a big mess coming through the second to last corner.
It started off so clean. It did so good for half a lap. And I feel like, I mean, I haven't seen these incidents chained together, but I feel like every one of these is kind of leading to another one further down the track. And it all started, I think it was a Clayton or it was either Clayton or LeBlanc, one of the two rejoining the track on top of the corkscrew. And it seems like it's just been a snowball ever since then as they head down all the way down to the start-finish line.
And Chris Bright, one of the front row starters, is off the road, and he's going to be dropped all the way down to the 27th spot. So it's falling apart for a huge chunk of this field. Boy, what a mess on the first lap of this race as that fell apart in an absolute hurry. The rest of the field still slicing and dicing as they work their way through turn number 5. This is right now the battle for 15th on back. We'll try to see if we can't get a look at what happened. Coming to the penultimate corner, at least 6 or 7 cars got collected in that.
Chris, you know, I thought you were crazy for picking Cofford because he was starting way back in the back, and this place was going to be so hard to pass that. But those incidents, and Cofford somehow able to dodge them. In just one lap, he went from 48th to 34th.
That's how it starts. Now he's up to 29th as we're talking. So he's continuing to move forward. But yeah, all these incidents, man, look at these guys. I feel like you know, as a driver on the first lap, the first couple corners, you're going to take it easy. You're braking earlier. Oh man, that looked like a Talladega or a Daytona wreck right there in NASCAR. But you know, you're tiptoeing, you don't want to hit anybody, and then you get a few corners in, you're like, all right, I'm gonna start going, and that's when you start leaning on each other a little bit more. That's when all this just really kicked off. So many incidents here, but as we rejoin, yeah, Cofford now P28 up 20 positions in what, 3 minutes?
Two laps. That's ridiculous.
And still on the move as well. He is trying to apply the pressure to Tyler Carlton just up the road. Carlton, meanwhile, to the inside of Chris Bright, trying to see if he can put the number 10 McLaren down yet another spot. And the 10 machine going to be able to hang on. Here comes Carlton, and now Cofford. Cofford trying to size of a look, can't get to the inside on the approach through turn 4. Next up, looking for turn 5.
What can he do coming down into turn number 5? Can he get the move done on on Tyler Carlton? Coming up to the kink of turn 6. Carlton a little in the dirt, a little squirrely, but the kink's not really a passing zone. You really got to be completely up to their front bumper to be able to commit to that, and Cofford nowhere close. Carlton actually catching up to the guys in front of him, maybe thinking about making a move himself.
Yeah, and to be fair, Giovanni Romano is now on the back of Alex Cofford, both of them up 20 positions from their starting point. So Romano's keeping up with Cofford here, and they're now nose to tail on the track. But we're looking at a good battle here between Bueller, Conde, Verstappen. How about Verstappen having a run? Top 20 so far in this race, keeping the nose clean, keeping it on track, as you see one of the misfits get. There's a Max Verstappen dive into the hairpin, and he kept it on the road, though. That was nicely done from, what was that? Is that Dimitri? Yeah, great job.
And Dimitrievich having a serious dive bomb there into the final hairpin. That puts him up into 24th behind Cofford side by side with Barrett Morton down the hill towards the Andretti hairpin down at turn 2. The 19's going to sweep on through. Barrett Morton cutting back to the outside, and now Jason Lee off the road, and one of the Formula 5% runners has found himself into the barriers.
That's just another position for all these guys coming from the back. An easy pass made for a couple guys just trying to make their way through the field. For Jason Lee, it's a tough break, running up towards the front, spinning off into the inside wall. Obviously, the damage gets repaired, but, well, you don't get your track position back. He's going to be flying all the way outside of the top 30, maybe all the way back to the very back of the field.
A few guys up front, you actually gaining a few positions on track, rightfully so. I mean, you got Alex Albert up there in the Porsche, the front-running Porsche at the moment, up in P6. He started P13th, and so he has done. I mean, there's been a few guys spun off in front of him, but remember, he was the first car that started outside of the invert from the sprint race. So he's got a good, strong run here, working his way up toward the front. Of course, Hammond's up front, just set the fastest lap of the race, 3.5 seconds up the road for P2. Another driver that made a lot of positions gains so far, Matthew Dupuis, started P19 up to P13. So a few of these guys on track actually get some overtakes done.
Quite a few drivers looking set to try and put down these overtakes as the DeWalt McLaren goes off into the scene on track. Right now, the biggest battle cluster that we're keeping tabs on is Chris Bryant all the way back to about Corey Barrett down to that 29th spot. Everybody ahead of him still a little double file, but for the most part, just 2 or 3 car trains. This one, though, headed up 6 up the road. Verstappen looking at the inside. You think Condi Verstappen going to drop it right on the apex. That's a bad place to stop. He's going to be hit by 2 to get himself right in.
That honestly helps him out a little bit. That second bit of contact kind of let him get righted, like you said, and stopped the bleeding, stopped him losing any more positions. Still sucks for Verstappen. And I was going to point this out whenever Chris mentioned his good run. You can't talk about Verstappen in the broadcast booth. Anytime we talk about Verstappen having a good run, he wrecks right afterwards. So you just don't bring it up.
There it is, and that is exactly what happened. I don't know if he went up or the other driver came down, but they came together on the apex there, and obviously Max got the worst end of that. But a couple things to think about here. Now, you're 8 minutes into the race as a driver at this point. You feel like you've kind of gotten yourself into a position on track where you're going to be running with the guys around you, try to find your rhythm, settle into whatever that rhythm's going to be, click off some consistent lap times, don't put the car in the wall. Remember, this is where we started to see a lot of guys going off in the sprint race, right? And this is about 8 minutes in. So we did a little, the fuel math before the race here. It says these cars on a green flag run get about 27 minutes on a tank. Of course, it's a 60-minute race. Maybe some of these guys are going to start saving because they want to try to make it a one-stop guaranteed no matter what the yellows do. So all those things from a driver's perspective are starting to come into mind now. While you're also running the track, while you're also looking out for other cars around you, and you're also trying to keep your incident count down. You see all these guys going off track. All these are adding up, and if you cross that threshold, you get a black flag later in the race. That will ruin everything you worked on to get there.
Still so many drivers really flirting with Laguna Seca's limits as they try to get themselves into fine working order. Meanwhile, the top three pro drivers all still hanging on for the top spots, and it's been a wild run so far for a good chunk of these drivers. You can still see Alex Albert still running that 6th spot. He is still working to try and close up to Brooks Clayton up the road. Still playing with those edges, but he's just not able to get that charge through the corners that the Mercedes is able to get on him. Might have to try to work that line a little bit, see if he can't get any momentum going. Meanwhile, another close battle. Barrymore to
Whoa.
Boy! Off goes Morton.
He was wrecking 3 seconds before he even got to that corner.
Well, I'm just happy that he made it to the other side in one piece, to be honest with you. That was a heck of a save. In a league where there was damage on, I would be extremely, I'd be patting him on the back big time. With there being, a little bit of a helper for the damage fix. Not necessarily as big of a deal, but he saved himself a heck of a lot of time because that could have been massive.
So I'm watching the gap up front here, guys. The gap to the leader has shrunk in half in about the last 3 laps. Hammonds is clicking off. Looks like he's still clicking off faster laps than the cars behind. But I don't know if he went off track or maybe just catching traffic and he's being a little cautious here. But that gap was 3.7. Now it's under a second here. Almost like Ronenberg's got DRS on that Aston. He is flying up the hill toward the corkscrew here. We got to battle for the lead here, boys.
Down in towards the corkscrew for about the 7th time today. This pack is absolutely on a tear right now. You take a look at the lap times gained over the last little while, and Ronenberg gained 2 seconds on lap 5 alone. Actually backed off a little bit on lap 6. So I feel like something went majorly wrong for Hammonds on lap 5, and that's what caused him to drop all of these positions. Now we see him under fire, though, and Ronenberg well within drafting distance. They'll be able to try to pull up with that all the way down towards the Andretti Hairpin down at turn 2. As he go up through the rise, head down through turn 1. Will we see a dive bomb to the inside? Not this time. Ronenberg's being patient. Never mind! Made the look and almost ran him over.
Ooh, it is tightening up too because these guys are fighting. Third place is coming up to their back bumper. Tyler Agostino only a second off of the race lead now. And if they keep fighting, it's not going to be long before Shane Cameron Brooks. No, man, just about a parking lot coming out of turn number 1.
My goodness, I don't know what happened there, but you're right. That was
still
they're
wrecking.
still wrecking. They're still wrecking. Looks like they're going to maybe get it sorted out. Yeah, they got it sorted out. That was maybe one car got a little lazy turn, but back up front. Remember we were talking about in the practice before, or I guess in the qualifying before, as we get a replay here, what happened in turn 1. Let's see. This is Scott Fleming coming in. And he's going to look at, a little contact there between, I can't tell who that was, but it looks like maybe, I can't see it. But yeah, so I'm learning all the liveries too, which is crazy. And they're still wrecking. So I was going to say up front, though, remember what we talked about in the opening of the qualifying, how the Aston seems to get better over the run, right? It seems to not degrade as much as some of the other cars. Remember, Ronenberg's in the Aston. The Mercedes are all around him, actually. Every other car in the top 5 is a Mercedes right now.
Look at that.
Wow. Michael Derby, well done. Gold star to you to avoid that. But, so I'm wondering how much, if there's any sort of advantage going to Ronenberg right now. But remember, to your point, Austin, he's bringing all the cars behind him with him. So I don't know if Hammonds is just kind of dropping off the pace as the tires and everything start to go.
Tyler Agostino. Sorry, Eric Ronenberg has gone around.
Well,
he just spun it, just all by himself, a self-inflicted error.
Going down the turn 1, did he get on the grass? Did he get on the brakes too hard?
I think it was just the brakes.
He's on. Did he pump them? He had to pump them because he was gonna. He had so much speed on the braking. Seemed like the Aston was just braking so much better into the corner. Yeah, I guess he had to stab him there at the end to avoid hitting Hammonds. And when he did, it broke the traction and he spun himself.
And all of that leads us back to this absolutely mega grudge match that we've been seeing taking place for the last little while. A lot of drivers looking to go side by side. Alex Albert and Chris Flams still going at it. Double file as they look to make their way down towards turn 6. They're going to single file it out relatively quickly. Good job for them. But there goes Albert making that look to the inside, trying to pick off Flamion. And Albert is going to be up and through. Good show there for Alex Albert. He's got us to Tucker just up the road.
He's trying to run him down. I mean, it's still a long race, right? We've only done, 14 laps 14 minutes. And I was, 14 minutes done in this thing. And Chris was talking about, before Ronenberg decided to spin himself out, how the Aston was starting to come into its own, or the tire life was starting to kind of show up because the Mercedes was maybe falling off. Some of these other cars were maybe falling off the cliff a little bit, and the Astons were coming too. Now,
Albert. No,
this is the longest run that we've had.
Dimitri. Yeah.
I feel like we're about to start getting those answers to Chris's, question about the Aston.
We'll see.
There's a few though here.
That's a pretty interesting. Where is that on the track? That's going off the corkscrew. What happened here?
Dear.
Oh no.
Yep. Well, that'll do it.
Oh no, he did the tank slapper back over. Wow. Nothing you can really do there if you're trying to just make your way through, but wow. And more action in turn 1. Oh, the mustard car's off the track. Where'd he go?
Goodness gracious. Again, right when you think they can't find a way, we got it settled down, they get right back into it, and they show that they're not going to yield for anybody. Are they trying to go off the track at turn 6? I mean, it's so insane that every GT4 seems to be taking the same line through that corner. It's not helping that race pace, I would imagine.
I was hoping you'd do a replay so I could make a cut the mustard joke, but you didn't do one. So I'll keep moving forward. So
I'll let you have your joke.
No,
maybe
not. That
Hold
one.
on.
Not that one. What's this? Turn 1. Coming in hot. He's still coming in hot.
That's Chris
Ethan
Brentford,
Conde there.
Yeah, he might have heated up the coals a little bit too much there.
Yeah.
I mean, they're beating around like we're running bumper cars here almost. I mean, look at all of this. Good grief.
It's funnier whenever you do it in the fast motion. You should start doing videos like that where you do the little, like, the clown music behind it, or whatever the
the circus music.
yeah, thank you. The do, that. And we could just do beer league compilations like that week in, week out.
Snakes on a train. Another one around.
I think it would be great.
So we're just in a constant replay loop at this point, aren't we? We have just now we're back to live pictures.
Well, welcome to our world here, Chris.
I was about to say
this is half the broadcast usually when we're doing you guys.
Yeah, this is the beer league broadcast week in, week out, buddy. It is replays.
Man, this is great. How about Dupuis up 11 spots up to P8 now? Brooks Clayton is off the road in the Hawk car here, and he's another mustard joke. There he goes. He cut him right off the road.
There, you can make your joke.
I did it. I'm happy.
Car with French on the side waving the white flag.
I'm
Who
not
would
happy
have
for
thought?
Brohus. Yeah, I'm not happy that he got wrecked, but that's just I couldn't help it. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, Matt Verstappen and Blake Gambrill, the next two that are looking to be side by side up the road, and Verstappen going to be hanging on. Blake Gambrill trying to chase right behind. Verstappen continuing to hang on for the time being. Meanwhile, Dupuis and Tucker going side by side on the
This could be
scramble down the
spicy.
hill. How about that? Tucker makes up a place.
Nice move.
I feel like Tucker's one of the most consistent guys in the beer league, though. It doesn't surprise me to see him running, in the top 10 in any given car that we come into. Every single season, I feel like he kicks it off with a, maybe not a bang, but kicks it off with a, I'm still the same old Austin Tucker. I'm going to be up here in the top 10 week in, week out kind of run.
For sure. He's, Austin's been around a very long time. He's one of the admins now. Very quick driver. I'd say one of the top 5 drivers in the league consistently, no matter what car you put him in. Honestly, kind of surprised to see him consistently down around the P10 mark in these cars. So I don't know if he's learning the Porsche or learning whatever, but I would expect him to be a little further up the grid. He's working his way up there slowly. As you see Tucker now take the overtake on the outside of Ron Wolf into the corkscrew. What a move from Tucker right there.
He's figured it out.
That's that takes some things. So there you go. Good move from Tucker.
A lot of drivers right now having an absolute ball of this racetrack. I mean, they are going at it big time. Chris Flams trying to see if he can't get around Dupuis. Dupuis covers off the inside line into the final hairpin. And that opens up the door for Bueller to start to attack Chris Flams. Side by side down the front straightaway, and it'll be Bueller tucking back in line. Not able to make a move on Flams, but you can definitely tell he's thinking about it. He's trying to see if he can look for it. Backs off, though, on the approach to turn 2. Couldn't go for it quite yet into the Andretti hairpin, but one driver slips up, and that's a lapped car. So one of the other lapped Aston Martins going off the road. Believe that to be Vince Kolinski, who just took the toe to pit row.
Tucker leading this train now up in the 7th place spot. Wolf right there in 8th, still tucked in right behind. I'm not letting him get too far away after Tucker made that great move on him in the corkscrew last time by. And we're seeing a lot of single file trains throughout here. Typically, we call the oval races and we kind of consider them little draft packs, but here I wouldn't consider them there. So I'm kind of surprised to see little single file trains. Are we seeing, obviously at this train, it's not Tucker being the slowest guy holding everybody up, or are we maybe seeing some slow guys at the front of these trains holding up the rest of the pack? And I say slow, take that with a grain of salt, but maybe slower guys hanging up some guys on a skinnier racetrack that's hard to pass on.
I think my guess here would not be so much that it's slower guys as he puts the wipers on for fun. I think at this stage, a lot of these guys are fumbling through their black boxes trying to figure out what they want to do on their pit stops. Oh, there's a dive. There's a dive there from Fleming. Is he going to make it stick? I think he's going to clear. Remember, that McLaren's fast down the straightaway, though. Is he going to get up on him into turn 1? He is. They're going to be side by side. Flams going to that's Ron Wolf. Sorry, got to learn them. Flams. I said Flams again. Wolf's backing out. 2 misfits going side by side here. But my point, I don't think it's. You're at this phase now. Everybody's starting to kind of think about pit stops. If you're going to do a 2-stop, that window's open. If you're going to do a 1-stop, every minute you drag this out, you have less fuel in the car to drag it. That was close to drag it out. Oh man, I thought he was going to cut him off right there too. I'm getting too distracted to finish my point. But yes, pit stop window is open for 2 stops. 1 stop window is going to be opening here soon if you saved enough gas to get there. Now, the risk here is you save enough fuel to make it to the 1 stop, but then that random yellow that we have in Beer League, that random yellow comes out, and that random yellow would then, maybe come out the lap you want to pit. If you don't have enough fuel to make it back around to the pits open, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. So this is a risky game these guys are playing. It looks like they're all trying to stretch it out to a 1 stop here. But I say we got about, maybe 4 or 5 more laps till that window is forced open, and we'll see who pits.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I think we're going to have some weird strategy here.
He's slipping back. He was just overtaken by Chris Flams, and now Bueller looking for the inside. There it is.
There it is.
Random yellow, number 1.
Now,
yeah, I think that's just open up for a 2-stopper.
Well, or does it? So this is where Beer League gets really interesting. Okay, you got 1 yellow flag. This yellow is going to run for how many laps? Maybe 3 laps?
Oh, man.
So that puts you right at about halfway on the restart. Now, remember, the fuel tank runs about 27 minutes. If you get a second yellow, you're probably good to go. But no, it's not guaranteed, right? So do you pit now, top the tank off, and then just clutch it around under yellow, try to save as much as you can. Of course, you can probably clutch it all the way down to the hairpin from the corkscrew because it's all downhill, but going up the uphill, you got to use a little bit of fuel. So this is going to be interesting. I think it's too early for the 1 stop. I think it's too early. I think if you pit now, you might get a restart with 31, 32 minutes to go. You got to stretch 6 minutes out of the tank. That's going to be tough unless we get a second yellow. So this has just gotten really interesting. I want to see who's going to pit.
45 cars out of the initial 53 remain on the lead lap. Josh Freed never started this race here this afternoon. Jacob Noyes didn't start in park. He started his race on pit road and then took his car immediately to the garage. So 51 still remain out on, well, I say that, only 50 on the racetrack. Actually, it's Vince Kalinsky, because he is taking his car to the garage area as well.
Is that a record? I wonder.
I don't think it is. I think you guys had a 55 last season, if I remember correctly.
Oh. All right.
Don't quote me on that, though. My memory is that of a goldfish.
All right, Hammond's finally caught the leader here. So he had to do, here's an interesting bit too. Hammond's had to do an extra lap to catch the pace cars. He went all the way around again. So the pace laps are just now starting. This yellow is going to go for at least 2 more laps. So again, looking at it time-wise, you got to pit, get the fuel. Nobody's taking tires. I guarantee. I mean, if you're taking tires, you didn't practice very much because the tires take like 40 seconds to put on the car. And it's just not worth it. So everyone's going to take fuel, but if you take fuel now, you gotta clutch it or something for the next 5 minutes to not burn any of it, and then you still got to save another 6 minutes on top of it. So I mean, I think Gio could do it. We've seen him do it in the past a bunch of times, but man, this is gonna be fun. I can't wait to see how this plays out. It's fun. It's fun watching it, not being in the car and having to figure it out yourself. That's cool stuff.
The second yellow, of course, is going to throw all of this into a whack as well. I have confirmed, by the way, record 55 from Mid-Ohio last season. So just shy of the record this afternoon.
Here they come. They're coming in. Did someone
We're gonna
stay
see
out?
that split decision. Yep.
Did I see a car stay out? Who was that?
Multiple.
Stayed out? Oh, wow.
There's a couple.
We're right on the line, guys. Right on the line. And if you pit now, the intent is you're not going to pit again. I would think these guys are coming in. They're trying to make a 1 stop out of it. And they're going to have to save and save a lot. Even a second yellow at this point. I think a second yellow would make it a lot easier, but it's still not guaranteed, especially if you're not
This is
saving.
going to be some heavy fuel saving.
So Tucker stayed out, and Tucker's the guy that gives us our fuel numbers, so he kind of knows if he stayed out.
That's the guy you got to pay attention to.
So here's the other thing, right? If you stay out, you're going to have to pit under green. More than likely, you're going to
stay out.
The restart's going to. Oh, Coffer stayed out too. Wow, what's Gio do? Because usually Gio's the fuel guru. Gio pitted.
I don't know. Coffin was throwing down the gauntlet that last season at VIR.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
So here's the thing: that for the guys that stayed out, they're going to have to pit under green, which means they're going to lose all the track position, but they're guaranteed to finish the race, right?
Yeah.
So if anybody else pits, whether it's under yellow or green, they're going to get all those positions back. So there's a balance here. Man, this is the race. This is what I love about Beer League. It makes every race interesting. Strategy's always up there. This is a great timing for a yellow, to be completely honest. 6 wheels or not, he's ready to go.
Brings up so many questions, and there's still 34 minutes left to go and still a long way to go yet this afternoon as well. So we're going to take ourselves a brief step back, give our voices a rest. When we return, more racing action on Green Flag TV with the Beer League.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back. One lap, well, really about half a lap to go before we get set for green flag race here. Austin Tucker continues to lead the way. He, along with other drivers within the top running, did not come down a pit. Flams and Peterson also still out on their same stint, and they still have one stop to make. Everybody else, we're wondering now if they're good to go to the end.
Yeah, we were talking about this in the commercial break. We got the caution extended one lap, saved a lot of these guys a little bit more fuel that decided to come down pit road. We think they can make it 27 minutes if they push all out. So they're going to have to save about 2 minutes of green flag racing and about 4 or 5 minutes worth of caution. So we'll just have to wait and see if everybody that came down pit road can make it to the end.
Green flag back up in the air. We are back to it. Austin Tucker firing away as they work their way down the front stretch once again. Not a big jump like Alexander Hammonds had right off the initial start, over halfway through this race. And now the field sized themselves back up for turn 1.
Oh, Tucker got sideways. That's going to hand the lead over to Alex Crawford. He gets to the inside, and he takes it through the exit. We had a spinner further back. I believe Michael Derby, Eric Ronenberg, a couple others going off track. A bit of an issue exiting the first hairpin.
A few cars going around. We got more trouble now on the exit of turn 4.
Yeah, muster cars around again. Yeah, I mean, honestly, not the best rejoin I've ever seen in the beer league. But yeah, that's, honestly, I was going to say it was a relatively clean restart for the first restart of the season, but I just noticed something on the ticker, and I wonder if you guys can tell me if this is correct or if I'm just seeing things, but the ticker says that Crawford actually pitted on lap 8. And I know we were watching him early, like, make his run, but I stopped looking after a little bit because obviously they're actually going around with some of the other drivers, but did Crawford duck off before the yellow and make a pit stop on lap 8 and I just missed it? Is that why he stayed out? Because he would then have more fuel than Tucker, Flams, and Peterson right behind.
I'm about to go back and look because I'm very confused myself. And conveniently,
there they go. They're ducking in now. There goes Tucker. There goes Flams. Peterson stayed out. He saved enough. So that guarantees Tucker's and Flams and Giovanni Romano's in the pits. The guy that sets the fuel strategy for the rest of the league. Just about. This is going all different directions. So 3 cars in the pits. They're guaranteed to make it to the end no matter what happens with the yellows. Everybody that pitted under yellow is still a little bit of a question mark. Can they save enough fuel to the end? And then Crawford, if he really did pit on lap 8, he's going to have to pit again as well.
Sean Bradley off the road in the background, and now one more off the road. That's Robert Peterson taking it down wide. Now keep in mind, Peterson as well still is yet to come down. He's now the only driver on this racetrack that has not pitted so far this race that's still in the running. So Robert Peterson will have to come down within the next lap or two to get that fuel service. Meanwhile, Scott Fleming and Ron Wolf going side by side, and Fleming makes up another spot.
Yeah, fighting all throughout the field. Crawford pulling away up front, but still has to make that pit stop. And I can't tell if Crawford came down pit road. Unfortunately, my racing's only letting me go back to lap 10.
I can answer that. He has pitted, but on lap 8.
Yeah, like,
not under caution.
How does that change the strategy? Like, obviously, he still has the pit stop. He'll have to take less gas than he would have had to if he hadn't come down pit road. But, like, why would he have came down at lap 8?
When you do a strat like that, you're hoping maybe you can stretch out. So if let's say the yellow did not come out, right? If the field had to pit under green, then they're forced. I mean, honestly, you're not going to be able to say they're going to pit a second time. The strat would have worked if the yellow was delayed, I think. It would have worked a lot better. But since the yellow came out right within the window, and look at this log jam coming out of the hairpin. I see more cars ducking into the pits as well.
We're 4 wide. 4 wide down the front straightaway. That didn't work at Boone. It won't work here.
You can't do that there.
I can't believe that wasn't bigger.
It's about to be.
Oh, no, they're still wrecking. There they go. And no, they did. They survived. Okay.
Holy cow.
So, to finish the point, people are pitting every lap now. I think the guys that pitted under yellow, some of them are realizing now that they're not going to make it. There's not enough fuel in that tank to make it the rest of the way. So they're going to get their pit stop out of the way now. So if another yellow comes out, when everyone else pits, they move back up the line. And that may have been Crawford's idea from the beginning. By the way, he just hit the fastest lap of the race by like a full second. Crawford is on a tear right now. Yep, there's a car there. And yeah, that's... Wow.
Honestly, they
so-
got out of the way in decent enough time, because if they would have waited another split second, that would have been a whole hell of a lot bigger.
And then, everything just, that was a little kink there, does it?
And
So I'm curious to see how this is going to play out from the fuel strategy-wise, and I'll leave it there. But, yeah, more guys. Albert's in. Carlton's in this lap. I think the guys that pitted under yellow, I don't think they're going to be able to make it. If all these guys are ducking in now, they're seeing that they're not going to make it. Now, if the yellow comes out, they may switch all that. But that yellow's not guaranteed. We may go to the green to the end, and if we do, all those guys that pitted under yellow are going to be really trying to stretch and save fuel here.
so
Chris, that's kind of what I'm concerned about. Sorry, Nolan, but that's kind of what I'm concerned about with the pit stops is, like, if you're coming in now, like you said, you're admitting that you're short, but why not delay the pit stop until after the caution window closes? I feel like pitting now is just, you're kind of throwing it all away, right? You could still get saved at this point by that yellow flag, being able to clutch and coast during that second yellow flag. So why would you come down pit road now for the second time?
You've had too many drinks and you're not thinking that far ahead. I mean,
Fair,
at this point, you're looking at your fuel engineer, whatever app you have, overlay, black box, whatever it is, and it's showing red right now that you're short, and you're panicking, and you're like, oh my God, I got to pit. Let me do it now. That's what I would do, and that's why my pit
So you're saying whenever
strategy is
somebody
bad.
makes a really bad pitch strategy, I could just be like, that drunk idiot, and just chalk it up to that?
I'd go with that. Yeah, I'd definitely go with that, because I think that's what 90% of the time is probably going to be true.
Fair enough, fair enough.
So still racers looking to go at it, nose to tail of that huge battle train still continuing on, but I'm still keeping tabs on this fight for the final spot inside the top 5. Bueller making that look to the inside now, trying to force the issue on Scott Fleming. He's going to get it done. So Bueller is through. Fleming trying to cut back, can't get to the inside. So Bueller hangs on for the 5th spot, and now here comes the rest of the battle for 5th on back.
Yeah, they're fighting coming down into the Andretti hairpin. Oh, tight through the second little kink of that, but side by side coming down to it through the little turn 1 section here, the kink, and then down into turn number 2. They all get it sorted out before we actually get down into the corner. Nothing too crazy. A little bit further back though, one goes spinning. That's going to be Ryan Verhulst.
He cut across the mustard again. I can't help it. I'm done. I promise. So
You're not
I've
done.
seen that.
That's
I've seen
what-
that
you're
car
never
go.
done. Trust me, with the beer league, you're never done.
Oh my gosh. I feel bad for Ryan. He's having a rough night, but I tell you what, Crawford is clicking off some laps here, guys. He's had his last few laps have been in the 27s. Those are qualifying lap times. He's got 6. Oh, he's losing a lot of time right now. Did he just run off the road or something?
No, he had to pass 2 lap cars.
Ah, okay. I saw the gap just went down like half a second, like instantly. So, yeah, he's got to pit again. We know he has to pit again. So my pick, he's got to come through for me here, Crawford.
Well, with
Figure
everybody
it
else
out.
pitting, I feel like everybody that we've seen pit twice makes me think that everybody second on back still has to pit too.
Could be, yeah, it could be. And by the way, just to do, kind of reset, we're learning how the makes work. We're learning how the different manufacturers work in GT4. Your top 4 right now are all Mercedes. Your 5th place is another Aston Martin, then Mercedes, Aston Martin. Our first non-Mercedes Aston Martin's down in P8, P9, P10. Those are all McLarens. First 4's down in 11. So, car Laguna Seca you want to put in your bag is going to be, looks like the Mercedes Benz.
It's an AMG. Benz is the luxury brand.
Thank you. I didn't know that. Honestly, I'm not even a car guy. I just like playing video games. So here we
There
are.
are 2 different manufacturers. There's Benz and AMG. Benz tends to be more towards luxury. AMG tends to be more
They're
of the sport
different?
models. They are, yes.
I never knew that, actually. That's fascinating to me. Now it makes sense why I like the McLaren, oh my gosh, Mercedes AMG Petronas F1 team.
Well,
Why
here
doesn't
we
have
go.
Benz in the name?
So Mercedes-Benz are typically designed to deliver luxury vehicles with varying levels of performance. AMG focuses purely on the performance element.
Crawford's pitting. Well, I'm fascinated. I want to learn more, but Crawford's pitting. I want to see. This should be a splash and go. To be honest, it should be a splash, maybe a few seconds to get to the end of the race. He does not need a full tank. He will probably rejoin somewhere around P20, if I were to guess, as Ben Williams gets kind of hip check there through the corkscrew. Which,
he
by
needs
the
about
way,
2/3 of the tank.
yeah, I guess a little more than a splash and go, isn't it? Yeah. Gio, we know, is good to the end here as he's back there about that P23rd position. So Tyler Agostino has inherited the lead here. Tyler's another one of these fast drivers that, honestly, I mean, Tyler's gotten faster and faster every season in Beer League. Last season, obviously, finished P4 in the championship. I believe he actually got a win he did get a win last season as well. So Tyler, quick driver, he's running a good race up there in the leading right now. Looking at Mac Verstappen, I'm not going to say anything good about him because of what you said earlier, Austin, but he is there. And
he's on the racetrack. That's all I'm going to say about Verstappen.
He's in 8th place.
He's in 8th place.
On the racetrack, and I swear, if I look back at him next time and he's not on the racetrack, I'm going to be really upset.
Matt, of course, doesn't drink beer. He drinks the milk in the beer league because he's underage, but he's doing it. You know, honestly, Mac is one of these guys that's been in the beer league, honestly, since the beginning. He is an OG. He came from the F1 league that the beer league came from back when he was actually called he wasn't called Mac Verstappen. He was called George Russell back then. But we call him Mac Verstappen over here. And there's a nice overtake of, what are we looking at there? That's going to be Mailhot getting around. Was that Mailhot? Oh, that's Romano getting around Mailhot. Excuse me.
Oh, boy.
Romano up P21 now.
And Mailhot losing 2 more as he went off the row. Ben Williams and Brooks Clayton getting through as well. Clayton looking for the inside. Couldn't quite make a look out of that one. Oh, we got.
Oh,
we
no.
got
2 cars going the wrong way.
We got three off at the same place.
Oh, no.
The mustard again, man.
Mustard car. Ryan, come on, man. Figure it out. He's not having a good day. What happened here? Someone cut him again?
No, he tried to cut somebody else.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that wasn't good. Oh.
Yeah, and then
squirted mustard in that tiger's eyes.
Tigers hate mustard. What are you talking about?
Sorry, squirted mustard in that El Tigre's eyes.
Honestly, as crazy a night as Ryan has had, he's running P40. I thought he's P44. I thought he was up in the 30 somewhere. He's clicking off some laps. He's doing good. Going to finish the race. What we asked for. The beer league. He's here to have a good time. That's what beer league's all about. Have a good time. Run some laps. Yeah. Remember, all these guys are in one big VC together, talking to each other. Imagine 50 people in a voice chat while you're playing a video game.
You handle that.
It is. You don't.
Oh my goodness! I feel
After
like that would be
while,
sensory.
You don't even hear it anymore after a while. Some of these guys can hold conversations. I got good at tuning it out. A couple times Crawford would yell at me about something because we could race each other pretty hard, and I honestly don't even hear half of it, so it's great. Meanwhile, Agostino 2.5 seconds up the road from Shane Cameron, who's up P2. Hammond's P3, Bueller P4. Good run for Bueller tonight, and Scott Fleming. Michael Derby up P6. A lot of new faces up there in the top 10. Rod Wolf having a good night. Justin Hall having a good night. Like to see it. So we'll see how this fuel strategy strikes out. And by the way, remember fuel strategy, Crawford and Gio, 2 of the faster guys on the track as oh no, there goes Hammonds. Hammonds is off.
And a big mess there for Hammonds as the Mercedes-AMG GT4 finds himself facing the wrong way. Could lose, he did lose the top 5. Now he's in a battle with Justin Hall for the 7th spot.
45 minutes on tires here. These tires are starting to get worn down, so I don't know how much is playing into it. I haven't driven a car at GT4 this long, but I'm sure it's starting to wear down. Yellow's out. There it is.
With 15 seconds before that clock expires.
Wow.
So they can probably make it now.
Well, so here's maybe. It's the unknown. How much fuel did you save under that yellow flag? How much did you save in the green flag? I mean, they're all going to try. At this point, you have to try. You can't pit now. But folks like Crawford and Gio, the guys that have had 2 stops, they're guaranteed to make it to the end, so they can go full throttle here. But everybody ahead, they're going to use. They're going to milk these next 3 or 4 caution laps here. I think it should be a short yellow. If everybody actually doesn't, if nobody pits, they can shorten the yellows and make this a kind of they call it a quickie yellow, and they can finish that up. But We'll see. I'm sure a few of these guys will duck in.
So this could be a quicker yellow flag than we saw the last time around.
It may be. Yeah. So the way the yellow flags work in the beer league, essentially, you do pit stops, and then once everybody's out of the pits, you do the wave around for the lap cars. Now we do have some lap cars on the track right now that will need to be waved, but once that's done, then essentially once the lap cars overtake the leader, you can shorten it and say go green next time by. So, but if nobody pits, then you can do it as soon as you pass the start finish line. And that speeds things up. So we'll see, but I still think it's going to be tight, and I'm excited to see. Unfortunately, I don't think the strategy card worked out good for Crawford tonight, or Gio, to be fair, because Gio also, I mean, he pitted under that yellow, the first yellow, then he pitted again under green. He was one of the cars that came in a second time, and he must have got spooked and thought he wasn't going to make it. As actually we do have one taker. That's Michael Derby. He's going to come in and top off. He's going to lose all these positions under yellow. But notice, I had a couple more too. Vietnam, Ben Williams come in, Dupuis come in, Stefan Purcell's come in. So, but I mean, we're talking a fraction of the cars. A lot of these guys are going to try to stretch it out. Augustino, Cameron, Bueller, all trying to stretch it out. Can they do it?
It's going to be close.
Yep.
So far, Derby, Dupuis, Vietnam, Morton, Williams, Babcock, Purcell, Beckman, and Mailhot all into pit road. Looking like LeFaber is in as well. Everybody else staying out on the racetrack. 12 and a half minutes left to go here this afternoon. We're going to take another step back when we return. More racing action coming up from Laguna Seca with the final 10 minutes. Stacked up, doubled up, ready to go back to racing. 10 minutes remain in the first round of the 8th season of Beer League competition here at Weathertech Raceway, Laguna Seca. Augustino and Cameron still lead in a Mercedes 1-2. So far, all 5 manufacturers have representation within the top 15.
That's not really something that we've been able to say much of the night, right? We've been talking about mostly the Mercedes and the Aston Martins, and they're still predominantly the cars up front. The top 4 spots are 3 Mercedes and an Aston Martin, but there's a couple McLarens sprinkled in there. There's a Porsche in there, and I'm only seeing a couple Aston Martins inside the top 15 right now. So it's been shaken up at the front a little bit with the strategy.
What is the fuel situation? Who has enough fuel to get to the end? Can Agostino, Cameron, Bueller save enough gas and save enough pace to get to the end and beat the likes of Crawford, Romano? Crawford, Romano down there 17th, 19th respectively. They've got a lot of overtakes to do. Not a lot of time to get it done. It's going to be about an 9-minute shootout here. This is going to be fun to watch.
Through the final corner, pace car is in a pit road. Agostino jumping early. He wants to get the launch on the field. We're back to green flag racing. They're stacking them up big time at the tail end of the field. Complete stop while everybody else on a mad scramble down in the turn number 1. Once again through 1, now down to 2. Right now, Agostino still holds the lead. He's got the upper hand. Whoa, boy! Where is Fleming going?
That was unbelievable. I cannot believe that he missed everybody. Hammonds goes flying off the racetrack as well. Crawford's making contact, bulldozing his way through towards the back of the pack. I mean, that was almost massive down into turn 2, and they're still fanning out 3 wide coming down to turn 3.
Fleming got hit on the left rear quarter panel as the under braking into turn 1. It put him on the dirt, and these cars have ABS on the oh no, there goes Toshka Tucker. The 6-wheel machine broke traction. That Porsche lost it on the exit of the corner. That's going to take him. Is that actually no? That is Tucker. I'm sorry. Yes. Wow, so many things going on. But yeah, how did Fleming not take out Agostino right there on that restart? Holy moly!
He fit in the perfect gap. I mean, unbelievable.
These guys are running hard though, man. They are going there. It's a shootout. This is an 8-lap beer league shootout. Everybody's topped off on their beers. They're all feeling it. They're saving fuel. You run what you got at this point. There's no more changes or anything you can do on these cars. Crawford up to 13th. He is making a charge. He's only 6.7 behind the leader right now. Giovanni's a couple spots behind him as he overtakes Max Verstappen. Agostino not pulling out a huge gap here over Cameron. Bueller's right there as well. I gotta think they're still saving a little bit though. Remember, depending on what lap or when the timer runs out, you may have to do an extra lap in these cars, as we saw in the sprint race. That happened in the sprint race. They had to do a whole extra lap because you timed it wrong. These guys got to be saving. So the likes of Crawford and Romano, I mean, they're charging.
Right now, a lot of drivers with a lot to lose. You have got to kick off your season on a high. You cannot afford to be entering a championship that can be this tight on the back foot. Every race counts. And right now, it is Agostino from Cameron, from Bueller, as everybody tries to see who will be able to make up what as the mad dash continues up the hill back towards the corkscrew.
Out of the kink, huge contact, multiple drivers involved. Crawford just barely squeezes through, picks up a couple spots. Oh, that was huge. Romano might have gone off track. I think Dimitrievich might have been involved in that one. It was huge contact coming out of the kink between 2 guys fighting over a position just outside of the top 10.
He was a lap down. They're just trying to let the field through.
He hopped that little sausage curve there on the apex, and the car just kind of shot straight across. And unfortunately murdered whoever he ran into there.
More trouble. Wolfhard into the wall. And now looking for more as, boy, Fleming almost sent it off the road again.
Fleming with the dives, man. He's the he's the new Bueller here, sending up the inside. So that's he's making it work though, to be fair. But I tell you what, I'm watching the lead up front too. Agostino is pulling out a slight gap over Cameron here, ever so slowly. That gap is not getting any shorter. It's slowly growing. But Bueller is closing the gap on Cameron. And one thing about Bueller is he is not afraid to send it on. I know I got my Alex's mixed. I was thinking of Klink. Klink's not in this race, but Bueller is a fine driver. I take it back what I said.
Oh, can they make it to the end?
Alex's. I don't know. That's the thing. Are they saving or what? Look at the lap times. Look at the last lap time for Crawford. Was a 31.2. Of course, he's in traffic,
he was passing a lot of people. Yeah, he got caught up behind an incident. So I don't know how
traffic. but he's up to P8 now. Crawford up to P8, Romano up to P11. Of course, those two have guaranteed enough fuel to get to the end. We only got 4.5 minutes to go. I mean, look at the pace, though. I mean, Agostino's doing a 28.6. Cameron's doing a 28.9 right now up front. Those are not slow times. If they're saving, they're not saving a lot. So maybe they got enough to keep it going to the end here, but we'll find out here in the next 4 minutes. Oh, no!
Oh! Big into the
Misfit
wall.
just turned a Aston.
That's Chris
Flams.
Flams. Yeah. Flams off into the wall. Only 4 minutes to go. 3 laps or less. Agostino starting to pull away, but Shane Cameron not looking to be put down and out just yet.
Ooh, and Crawford was only 0.2 faster than Agostino that lap. So finally in clean air, not that much difference between them whenever it all comes down to it. 9.3 seconds apart. So as long as Agostino's got the gas, I think he's going to be fine from Crawford further back. It's just about keeping Shane Cameron right behind him. And he's got that second gap, so I mean, Agostino's looking pretty nice. He's got a little bit of room to make sure that he can make it to the end on fuel.
Yeah, Agostino's a driver who's been around the beer league for a long time. He's got 3 wins in the beer league. He's got a couple, Long Beach, Fuji, Laguna Seca. He actually got a win in Laguna Seca back in the MX5 way back, I believe, in season 2 was his first win in the beer league. Can he do it again in season 8 with the GT4s? Got a car rejoining in front. Is he going to hog the apex? Oh, no, he cut it there. That was great. But, hey, 2.5 minutes to go to get there. How's he look on fuel? We'll find out here very soon.
Jason Lee takes one to the inside of Evan Campbell, while the other drivers further behind still embroiled in some serious side-by-side battling all throughout the late teens and into the top 10 as well. A lot of drivers still with moves to make. And how about this? Barry Morton, Blake Gamble couldn't make it to the end. They're both in a pit road for a splash and go.
Oh no, that's not a good sign. If you're Agostino or if you're Shane Cameron, that is not a good sign to see people come down pit road with 2 minutes left, pushing it until the very last second. I'm now officially worried for our couple leaders up front.
We knew it was going to be tight. We knew it was going to be tight, and now we're here at that 2-minute mark, right? Remember, we said they had to save about 8 minutes of fuel. Was it 6, 8 minutes of fuel, something like that? We're down to 2, right? So the yellow helps, but look at the lap times. The lap times are now going up. Agostino's last lap, 28.8, so he's about a half a second off the pace for what I think they were running earlier. Shane Cameron was up in the 29s last lap. See Cameron dropping back here. Dropping back actually into the clutches of Bueller and Jake there behind them. But are they saving? Now look at this. He's timed this right, whether intentionally or not. He's got to do one more lap. This should be the white flag lap for Tyler Agostino. Can he close it out, do one more circuit? Is there enough petrol in the tank for that Mercedes for Tyler to pick up the first win of season 8? I'd love to see it.
He's got 60 seconds left on the clock, and this will definitely be the final lap. The problem is Shane Cameron closing in from behind. Still just under a second out, and he is so good through this first sector. Austin, this fight isn't near over.
No, absolutely not. I mean, 0.9 of a second sounds like a lot, but whenever you're fighting fuel at the same time, you got to be thinking in the back of your mind that you got to be saving ever so slightly. And also, if you're Agostino, you've got that lead, so maybe you're thinking that you can use a little bit of it to save it, and maybe you just save it a little bit too much and give a little bit too much of it away. So far in this lap, he's given up about 0.2, but there, through turn 5, actually gaining on Cameron ever so slightly, getting that gap back up to a second.
Agostino rounds through turn 6 up the hill. Does he have the fuel to bring it home? Looks like he's holding the gap. Cameron's there, Bueller's there. Top 3 kind of holding station through the corkscrew. I mean, at this point, you're downhill to the line. If you run out, you're not going to stop. But does the Mercedes have the fuel to get to the end? Man, Nolan looks like he's going to bring it home.
2 turns left to go. 0.9 of a second. Shane Cameron still looking to close. But with only 1 turn to go, not nearly close enough for the dive bomb. Tyler Agostino comes off the final corner down the Rahal straight, and he is going to take the first win in season number 8. Agostino drives this one home to victory lane.
Oh man, I can't believe he had the gas. Seeing everybody come down pit road, I thought for sure he would run out of fuel and be done and dusted, but Tyler Agostino, I mean, we thought he would have won the championship last year, or could have won the championship last year, and well, he sets up season 8 nicely for himself in the first race.
Absolutely. Crawford finishes P6. What a great run for Crawford. Giovanni Romano P9 as well. Couple shout outs that I want to acknowledge. Adam Klein, the league founder, OG of the league, has not had a great last couple seasons. How about him starting all the way down in P42? No, P52. Excuse me. He finished P16 tonight. Great run for Adam Klein. I love to see that. Hammond's down there in 18th, and Mac Verstappen, P21. Let's go, Mac.
Overall, an extremely good race for everybody involved here on this fine afternoon. Still waiting on the last few drivers to come across the start-finish line before we'll be getting this show fully wrapped up. But my God, what a race! I mean, that was complete chaos and carnage all the way to the end in traditional beer league fashion. But it was a good season opener, a good way to break in these cars with a good all-rounder racetrack. And now, of course, we look set to see what's going to be happening for race number 2, where we'll be doing the racing action here. We'll see where all of that is going to be hopefully before the end of the broadcast. For now, though, let's take a rundown of what your official post-race results look like after a wild one this afternoon from the WeatherTech Raceway. Tyler Agostino takes home the win. Shane Cameron down in the number 2 spot. Alexander Bueller brings it home in 3rd with Jake Kasich in 4th. Great job for the rookie. Justin Hall in 5th. Alex Crawford recovers to 6th. Ronenberg 7th. Chris Bright 8th. Giovanni Romano. Jason Lee rounds out the top 10.
Brooks Clayton finishes in 11th with Amvin Campbell in 12th. Keaton Crothers in 13th. Michael Derby in 14th. Adam Klein rounds out your top 15 with Matthew Dupuis in 16th. Alexander Hammond 17th. Tyler Carlson 18th. Sean Bradley 19th. And Mac Verstappen rounds out your top 20.
21st be Robert Peterson. 22nd is going to be Austin Tucker. Mike Kostik's going to be 23rd. Steve McLennan 24th. Ethan Conde P25. Albert's going to be 26th. Chris Flam's going to be 27th. Greg Beckman 28th. Gordon Babcock's 29th. Darren Bai P30.
31st place, it is going to be none other than Ben Williams. Stephen Brissell 32nd. Corey Berry 33rd. Ryan Verhulst 34th. Bear Morton in 35th. Adam Joseph Billhart 36th. Blake Ambrose, Brian LeBlanc, Kyle Blevins, and Alex Harrison round out the top 40.
Ryan Murphy finishes 41st with Johnny Lane in 42nd. Scott Fleming in 43rd. Steve Turnbull in 44th with Tyler Vietnan rounding out the top 45 with Mirko Dimitrievich in 46th. Jonathan LeVaber 47th. Ron Wolf 48th. Justin Wilson in 49th with Taylor Blanchard rounding out the top 50. Vincent Kalinsky, Josh Freed, and Jacob Noyes round out your 53 car field.
Boy, oh boy, what a wild ride that we had here on this Wednesday afternoon. And we'll look set, of course, to give a chit-chat with all of the racers here at the end of the night. We'll look to put it down first and foremost at Tyler Agostino. We'll see if we can't get in touch with the driver that takes home a very solid race win this afternoon. It was coming right down to the wire for the man that takes home the top step of the podium here this afternoon. But Tyler, you come home, a very solid drive for you. Walk us through this race this afternoon that sees you take the first win of the season.
Oh, well, I was hoping that it was going to end up being a fuel mileage race again because I tend to do kind of well in those. But, when that second caution came out, I think it kind of leveled the playing field for everybody at the front. Luckily, I had the track position. And I think, honestly, Shane was quick enough that had he been in front of me, he would have pulled away. But, I had the track position and was just able to hold on to it.
Overall, this championship looking like it could be a good one here with the first season really where there's been a lot of different car makes and models out there on the racetrack. What contributed to you picking that Mercedes, and how do you think it'll fare throughout the rest of the season?
I think the Merc's going to be a pretty decent car overall. I think it's not really going to be excelling too much, but I think it's just pretty stable. It kind of clicks with my driving style a little bit. I tried out the Porsche, I tried out the BMW, but ultimately I found most consistent pace in the Merc. And honestly, that's really what it comes down to in this league is just putting in consistent laps and being able to be within your own limits. So when there's an incident in front of you, you have a little extra to get around it. I think that's a lot of what kind of contributes to decent results here. And it paid off for me today. But I think honestly, there's going to be a couple of tracks We don't know what we're going to be racing going into the season. We just kind of have to blindly pick the car. So you pick a car that clicks with you, not necessarily with the track. So hopefully that works out for me.
When we return to racing action next week, still don't know where that is going to be, but we'll hopefully find out by the end of this broadcast this afternoon. Thank you, Tyler, for taking the time to join us. Congratulations on taking your first win of the season, and we'll see you around next week.
Thank you all. Appreciate the broadcast. You guys doing a great job as always.
And thank you as well, Tyler. So Tyler Augustino brings it home for the #1 spot this afternoon. That'll move us down to second place, where Shane Cameron is standing by with Austin Edstrom.
Yeah, Shane, hell of a run from you tonight, finishing up in the second place spot. What more did you need to maybe to be able to get up there to Tyler? Were you having to save fuel so you couldn't quite reel in that gap, or was there anything that you could have done to potentially reel it in and challenge him for that race win?
I wish I could blame it on fuel, but no, that wasn't it. Tyler just did a good job. I think my issue was understeer. I think I broke a little too late trying to get more speed and ended up hurting me in the end.
Well, Shane, you're still really, really quick, and you ended up, bridging that gap back down to just about half a second at the end of the race. So you were, right there with Tyler. You mentioned the understeer. Looking back on it, is it really just coming down to maybe overdriving it? Did you really just think if I just back up these corners a little bit more, maybe you would have had a little bit different of an outcome at the end of that one?
I really think so. I mean, I'm not great at these cars. I know I say that getting second, but I don't run them much. But I really think that was my issue, kind of braking a little bit earlier and having a better turn-in, like correct turn-in, getting that apex better, because it all matters about that exit speed.
Like you mentioned, new season, new car. So a pretty great way to start out a season in a car that you don't have a lot of experience. Does that give you some confidence going forward for the rest of the season that you've come into a car that you don't particularly race a lot and have a second place finish out of 53 guys out here?
I mean, I'm definitely excited. That's like you said, a good way to start the season. But I do wonder, a lot of people don't like this track, and I do. So I'm wondering if that might be a little bit in the equation, honestly.
Well, either way, whether it's in the equation or not, you still came home with a second place finish, and that's a heck of a lot of points in your pocket at the end of the night. So congratulations, Shane, and looking forward to seeing if you can follow it up next week.
Appreciate it, man. Bye.
All right, that was Shane Cameron, driver of the number 74. Next up, I believe Chris is going to get to talk. He's going to give his first interview.
Well,
on the channel.
I'd love to, but Bueller's a ghost. He's not here, so I'm not able to talk to him. But I have news to share. One of the changes for Season 8 is that the spin for the next track is going to be done now, and it's over, and I know where the next race is going to be. You guys are going to love it. I hope the viewers love it as well. Next race next week, next Wednesday, Beerley is going to be at the Red Bull Ring.
Oh. That could be
exciting. Which is a great track. It's a great track for racing, great track for overtakes. Always puts on a good show. I think it's the first time we've been there. I'm actually looking it up right now to see if we've been there before. But
we were at the national layout for the late model stock championship 2 seasons ago. But this is the first time, at least, that we've been here that we're going to be at the Grand Prix layout.
Ooh. It is the first time overall. You're right. Only one time ever at the Red Bull Ring before. It was the national layout. That race was won by somebody. I'm trying to pull it up, but
that makes sense.
Alex Crawford won that race, so there you go. That was a national layout and first time to the Grand Prix layouts. I'm excited. That's gonna be a great race.
Boy, oh boy, what a wild race we had here this afternoon. We'll start with our closing thoughts. Of course, Austin, we'll start with you, and then we'll move on to Chris after. But it's another great season, and I have no doubts we are going to be in for an absolute barn burner all throughout the course of this championship. Still a long way to go, though, and we are only getting started with GT4s.
Yeah, no kidding. This is going to be a fantastic season. I think the GT cars put on a heck of a show, especially the GT4s. A little bit slower, keeps the field a little bit more condensed, and keeps the action, right up there.
Yeah, you say it's slower, but again, it's the fastest ones the Beard League's ever run. And these guys, I think it's the second season we've ever done with multiple cars. And I'd love to see it like, Tyler said it himself. You got to kind of do a blind pick and hope that it works everywhere. There's going to be tracks where certain cars are faster than others. Red Bull Ring is a little different than Laguna Seca. It's got a little more bumps to it, a little bit faster corners, but I'm excited. I think this is a great start to the season. I think the guys did great, and I love seeing a lot of new faces up front. Fantastic, great first race of the season.
There's still so much yet to come on up for the beer league here. When we return, coming on up tomorrow night, it'll be the Speed Cup Series for their second race at the Mobility Resort Motegi. On Sunday night, the SRL Next Gen Cup Series returns for round 2 at the Southern National Motorsports Park. And the round of 8 continues on throughout the High Tide Racing League MF Race Designs Cup Series for race number 20 down at Bristol Motor Speedway. All of this with more to come when the beer league returns to Austria just 1 week from now. My name is Manola Rempel alongside Austin Edstrom and Chris Hannigan. Thank you so much for joining us here on Green Flag TV. We'll see you all next time when we return over in Europe.